Today, we will discuss naval topics, but our story, paradoxically, does not begin at sea, but in the skies. Italian aviation carried out numerous bombing campaigns over Gibraltar. Until 1942, they used Savoy SM-82 aircraft, and subsequently, from June of the same year, Piaggio 108B planes. This aerial harassment by Italy, under the command of the Duce, against the British colony of Gibraltar, demonstrates how crucial control of this gateway to the Mediterranean was for the Axis powers. It also shows how they were willing to use all resources at their disposal, not only naval, but also aerial, to achieve such control. To this setting of nocturnal fireworks comes the couple Antonio Ramagnino and his wife Conchita in 1941, disguising their visit as a pleasure trip. Initially on a reconnaissance mission, they later established what would become the first operational base of the 10th MAS Flotilla, in a villa named Villa Carmela in the town of Puente Mayorga, strategically located halfway between Algeciras and Gibraltar. Antonio Ramagnino, a 37-year-old young engineer, was not a professional sailor, but an exceptional designer for the Piaggio Company, whose innovative assault boat project caught the attention of the 10th Flotilla. From this privileged location at Villa Carmela, sabotage and incursion operations were carried out by divers of the 10th MAS Flotilla. The first operation, named SG-1, was conducted in the early hours of July 13-14, 1942, successfully sinking the steamer Ravens Point. The second operation, SG-2, carried out months later, damaged the ships Metasuna, Empire Snake, and Baron Douglas. The success of these operations prompted the authorities in Gibraltar to intensify their surveillance and interception efforts, ensuring no ship remained anchored in the bay, but instead was moored inside the port. However, the Italians continued their efforts and moved their base to the ship Olterra. The Olterra was a ship stranded in the Guitares Cove to prevent it from being sunk by the British at the start of the war. The British were made to believe the vessel had been purchased by a Spanish shipowner and taken to the northern dock of the Algeciras port for repairs. Its original crew was replaced by military personnel of the 10th MAS Flotilla, forming the diving group Ursa Major Squadron, named after the constellation that guided them at night. The Olterra was equipped with the necessary materials for its mission, including camouflaged and dismantled mini-submarines sent via diplomatic bags. On the port side, below the waterline, an opening was made to facilitate the entry and exit of the Maiali mini-submarines. It was not until the end of the war in 1945 that the British discovered the true nature of the Olterra. The activity inside the Olterra was carried out by Italian military operatives. Their work consisted mainly of preparing the Maiali, so that, once in the water, they could be guided by combat divers. By the way, the term Maiali means pig in Italian, and it was not coined by their enemies, but by the Italians themselves, demonstrating the great sense of humor they had even in matters of war. Some authors have considered this war as a clear example of a Trojan horse of the modern era, which, like the classic story, also contained a poisoned gift. This shows that, With enough motivation and creativity, military operations can be carried out practically under the enemy's nose without them realizing it. The combat teams of the 10th Flotilla operated in groups of 3 Maiali units, with 2 divers per unit, aiming to achieve the greatest number of sinkings of Allied merchant ships. Operation BG-5 was the first carried out from the Olterra on December 7, 1942. British defenses had deployed underwater bombs throughout the anchorage area at regular intervals. One of the Maiali failed to reach its target. Its crew perished, probably due to the impact of a depth charge. 2 other divers were the subject of an extensive search that ended with the sinking of their Maiali. They found refuge aboard a U.S. cargo ship, where they were warmly received by a mostly Italian-American crew. The 3rd Maiali, despite the general alarm and continuous pursuit by British patrol boats, returned to the Olterra, but only with 1 of its crew members. The other had died. The mission was a disaster. 3 dead, 2 prisoners, and only 1 returned. The only positive news was that the British, in a press release dated December 8, 1942, believed that the men had arrived aboard the submarine Ambra, possibly because the captured divers, during interrogations, told the story that they had come on that submarine from the island of La Spezia. Thus, the secret of the Olterra was not revealed. Now, let's take a closer look at this Italian pig. The Maiali, a slow-speed torpedo, or SLC, was 5.7 meters long and 0.53 meters wide. It carried a 225-kilogram explosive charge and could reach a maximum speed of 2.5 to 3 knots. Its maximum operating depth was about 30 meters, and it was electrically powered. The plan was simple. Sneak up on the ship they wanted to sink, remove the explosive warhead, secure it from side to side with a cable, set the stopwatch, and escape diving as quickly as possible. I don't want to end this story without sharing with you the final mission of the men of the 10th Flotilla in Gibraltar, Operation PG-7, on August 3, 1943. The operation was a resounding success, resulting in the sinking of the Harrison Gray Otis, 7,276 tons, the Norwegian tanker Thor Show, 10,000 tons, and the British ship Stanbridge, 6,000 tons. Although one of the Maiali had technical problems and sank near its target, one of its crew managed to bring it close enough and activate its explosive charge.